Digital 410 Productions proudly presents the What's in Your Head podcast.
Digitized live from the ACT Computer Studios in Cape Coral, Florida, it's the What's in Your Head podcast with your hosts Gordon and Don Abernathy.
What is going on, OG5? We are here for another weekend, and I spent an inordinate amount of time trying to get the audio fixed on the live stream. Joining us always from Las Vegas is Gordon. Gordon, how's it going out in Las Vegas?
Well, if you've seen the news, you pretty much know how it's going.
Yeah. More importantly, we got a guest. We're going to get him out, get started, get going before we run out of time on Zoom because we're cheap fucks around here. Joining us from New Jersey is a comedian and podcast host, Kevin Gootee. Kevin, how are you doing, friend?
Guten Abend, everybody. How are
guten
you?
Abend.
Great. How about yourselves?
Das ist sehr gut, ja?
Oh, wow. Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Nein. Und
Me
scheiße.
neither.
Just enough to get in trouble.
You know, it's funny.
Yeah.
Down here in Cape Coral, Florida, we're like the German hotspot. This is where all the Germans go to take their vacations. And so I do have a few German clients. And despite my getting kicked out of German class in high school, I still don't know enough German to speak to anybody. But I do have enough of Windows memorized because I'm an IT guy that despite the fact their computers are all in German, I can still maneuver my way through it. But more importantly, what's going on, friend? Let's get into a little bit of you. I know you got a new podcast, but before we get into that, we have a appreciation for comedians around here, mainly because I want to be one, but I don't have the balls to get up on stage. It's not really a stage fright thing because, well, you know, I worked in radio for 5.5 years. I've been on stage in front of 16,000 people at concerts and all that. It's just the more of working out the material, and I find that when you're in front of a smaller crowd, you can actually hear people say you suck, opposed to when you're in front of 16,000 people. It's just all landscape, so it doesn't matter. So you've been in comedy for 10 years, correct?
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Now, I know New York is pretty much closed down. Has Jersey got any clubs open? Do you have any dates coming up soon? How long has it been?
Yeah, I have one in July 31st down in LBI, Long Beach Island. So hopefully that happens. We're supposed to start opening things up. I think people have gone stir crazy, especially when you see things in the news like, hey, when you guys have a gathering of children, only be 12 people, but hey, there could be 100 people at a protest, but only 12 people at a small gathering. I think people are going, okay, enough hypocrisy of this nonsense. We're going to go do what we got to do. And things I think are going to start opening very, very soon.
Yeah, if you want to go sit shoulder to shoulder with somebody, claiming you're angry, and which is fine and great, but you can't go to a barber shop or to the gym that's, it's just you and the barber and the next chair is 18 feet away. It is a little crazy. And now you're starting to see these businesses going after these governors and mayors, suing them for, unconstitutionally forcing them to close down their business. It's insane.
Yeah, that's happening. It's just the economy's getting hit. And I think when the CDC came out and said, was it 6/10 of people die from COVID, you're like, yeah, you know what? I think I'll play the odds. I'm not minimizing COVID and what it's done to some people, and people have died, and I'm definitely not minimizing that at all. I think it's okay. You know what? I think it's time that enough has passed, and I think it's going to be, time that
We just got to learn how to live with it, right?
What's that?
Learning how to live with it, and
Exactly.
We got to move forward.
Well,
Vegas opened up 2 days ago.
I'm very well aware of that. In fact, you'll see me in your lovely city as I come there every year. I'll be there this time in August. Usually I usually come out with my buddies for week one of the NFL, but this year we bumped up a little bit earlier, so I'll be there in the second week of August, weekend of August. I love your city, big fan, and I'll see you then. Yeah,
it was cool. One thing that was a little different is they definitely take your temperature on the way in. So they've got these big scanners that everybody just walks through just real quick, moving on. As for the social distancing aspect, well, it's about as what you would expect. I mean, would they want people to do more? Yes, but at the end of the day, we got to live with it. And we went out and lost a few money, a little bit of money within a half hour, and said, okay, we're done gambling. That was our year.
It's crazy. Today's the first time I've been to any chain or anywhere really here in Florida that require you to wear a mask and then provided one with you. Now it's like Guitar Center of all places. A place where rock guys and punk guys and guitar band people, they go to get their equipment. They actually stopped us at the door. They didn't care I had my dog with me. They were fine with that, but no, they hooked us up with a medical mask before we could peruse their inventory and get some cables to work on our sound issues we're having over here. But more importantly, Kevin, I listened to your podcast, and first and foremost, we are about the same age. I think you graduated a year before me. And listening to you, your co-host, and your guest is like listening to and hanging out with my guy friends in 1997. The lack of concern about feelings, the slang words, the movie references, the pop culture. I'm driving in my car feeling like we're all just hanging out in my fucking dad's house after school. It's like, it's so great to actually hear conversation between real dudes of people my age. It's you realize how watered down shit has gotten when you actually hear people who aren't concerned about offending people when they talk.
Yeah, we listen, we don't go out and try to, but we don't really put a governor on anybody and what they say or what they do. And we're just, we're comics. It's not much censoring going on here. It's a shame that this is what the world is coming to. Hopefully it kind of boomerangs and flattens out. But yeah, that's something that we like to do with the podcast. We like to really sit back and invite people on to pick films that are really those sacred cows, hence the title, Gutting the Sacred Cow.
I was going to say, I'm such a bad host. I mentioned you had a podcast twice, but I haven't mentioned the name yet. Yes, it is the Gutting the Sacred Cow podcast.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sure you get this question. I don't want to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. Sure. How did the concept come? I love the whole, because there's so many podcasts out there. They all have the same kind of theme, and some sound like morning shows, some afternoon, a lot of true crime stuff. Your whole theme, the layout of your show, it's almost like a unofficial game show, if you will. Just the whole process. And I guess we should probably explain to people what your term "sacred cow" means and what the whole the aspect of your podcast is.
Sure. So let's break down your first question. How did I come up with that? So I've created a few shows. One is on Amazon Video right now called Comics Watching Comics. I've got 8 seasons on that. Think of Mystery Science Theater 3000 meets Last Comic Standing.
Sure.
So what I like to do is I like to take established themes, but have one hell of a twist on them. So it's nothing too far off the beaten path, but again, very unique in that path that it is on. Another show I do is called Fantasy Football Jibber Jabber. We take fantasy football and advice and NFL handicapping advice. I bet the hell out of the NFL and combine it, but with humor, because I'm sure I see a Penguins hat, I see a Penguins mouse pad. So you're a sports guy, that's for sure.
Yep.
There's nothing. ESPN's all good and well, but those hosts are the most viciously unfunny people there are on the planet, right?
Well, to be fair to them, they got ESPN's corporate office breathing down their back, and so because I worked in radio for 5.5 years, and across the hall was an ESPN affiliate. And so, they're very limited on the kind of level of joking they can do. I think the most risque show that was on cable for the time was the Best Damn Sports Show Ever, and they're risky because they had a cuss word in the title of their show for the first time.
Sure. Yeah, and that's it. Like, forget even the risqueness. Those shows are never funny.
Yeah.
Forget the name. They're never funny. It's all information, which is fine, but I like to get my information with a side of jokes, and that's what my buddy Gerard Harron and I do. We co-host it. We give you NFL betting advice and fantasy football. You never see the two married. So that brings us to Gutting the Sacred Cow, and you hit the nail right on the head. Every movie podcast, virtually every movie podcast, are 2 to 4 dudes sitting around a mic, cracking open some craft beers and saying, yeah, man, Empire's better. Can we curse on this or no?
No, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So, no, fuck you. Star Wars is better. No, Empire is better, you jerk off. And that's what they are. Everyone loves talking about films. People like myself, and maybe you guys too, we get a little bit more passionate than most, and we love to talk about films and deeper and really kind of duke it out. But that's been done to death.
Mm-hmm.
So what I decided to do was say, hey, you know what? Let's have the balls to go after these films. And there's nothing that makes me happier than pulling the pants off someone down metaphorically and proving their film that they love is just shit. Like, I get mad when people defend dumb shit. Don't get me wrong. If you say, let's use an example, Big Trouble in Little China. I love that film. I know it's not a great film, but you can argue why it's not a good film. But if you say it's one of my favorites, I'm not going to shit on you because that's your favorite. And I get that.
Well, and you also understand that without Big Trouble in Little China, we don't have Mortal Kombat. I mean, they straight up took the character right from that movie.
They stole Raiden right from that one. And they stole Street Fighter, came from Bloodsport. How about
Absolutely.
that? Right. So, but I hate when people say, oh, this is a great film because the masses say so, like Titanic. Shut the fuck up. Titanic stunk. 2001 A Space Odyssey. That is awful. I dare you to sit through that. By the way, the first 3 minutes of 2001, fucking blank scream. The only people who like 2001 are the nerds who want to be taken seriously in a film discussion.
Yep.
Or you were high as fuck on tripping acid or some shit like that. No one in their right mind, just sitting there sober, likes 2001: A Space Odyssey. That film stinks. It's not good. So I created a forum where it's like, hey, everyone's got films that they disagree, these sacred cows. And for you to get on the podcast, it's usually comedians or podcasters. And the film you choose, it can't be like Friday the 13th Part 6. It's any asshole.
No, it's got to be something that people hold as a delicate little flower. They hold it up in the movie gods like, hey, this thing is such a superior, not a movie, mind you. This is a fucking film. And those are the ones you guys go after.
Not only that, it has to meet one of these three criteria. It has to. And I'm the judge of that, so I'll tell you if your film's good or not. The first one, it has to be a financial success, or it has to be widely beloved, or it has to be critically acclaimed. Got to be one of those three. And I just go out there and tell people, one guy was like, let me do Batman versus Superman. That made a shitload of money. I go, no, that movie sucks. No one likes it. That's too easy.
Yeah.
I want people to pick a film where the audience is going to look at their phone and they see a new episode's come. They go, this asshole is going to shit on the Goonies. I fucking love the Goonies. Eat my dick. And then they hate listen. And then I choose the Goonies as an example because I got way more emails saying, you know what? When your guest came on, David, the producer, did a great job. Does a fantastic show called Unwritable Rant. Give it a listen. Him and his wife are fantastic. He chose the Goonies, and I remember. So it sounds like we're close to the same age.
Yeah, he didn't go after Chester Copperpot, did he? He left Chester alone, right?
Yeah, no, he went. He got after Chester Copperpot and those little ragtag bag of shit sippers. And he made a great point because when I saw the Goonies as a kid, I'm like, I like it. It's good. As an adult, I watch it. I'm like, all right, I own it. But watch it again now. It does not hold up. It is not good. There are tons of flaws. And I had more people emailing me saying, you know what? When I saw that you guys chose it, I said, oh, fuck these assholes. But when I listened to your episode, you made all the sense in the world, and it changed my mind. And that's all we're looking to do. Sometimes change your mind, but at least I want you to think deep. Now, do a lot of people gut the sacred cow? Less than 50% do. Sometimes it's an absolute runaway. Oh, we hate this movie. Go right ahead. This is a slam dunk. Or people choose films like my buddy Bill Schultz, whose new episode actually drops on Monday. He came back. His first film he chose, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which I fucking love, But he managed to expose some flaws in that film. Did he change our minds? No, he did not change us and say that we thought that film sucks. But we conceded he made great points. He's on next week to take down Independence Day, which I think sucks, but my co-host loves. So we'll see how that goes.
Not to spoil your premiere on Monday, but that episode's already out. I was listening to it today. It's a great episode.
You son of a bitch! I know it's out, but that's when all the mass promotion hits. So that's fine. I don't care.
That's all right. This podcast will go live Monday anyhow. So if you're downloading this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and all these good places, go ahead and subscribe to Gutting the Sacred Cow the same day. Because we recorded this on Saturday live, and then I post it up, and most people start downloading on Monday. So today when you're downloading this, go check out that episode. It is a great episode.
Yeah, it's a fun one. I really think, and if you think that one's a fun one, check out last week's episode. Dave Landau does Philadelphia.
Yeah, that was the first one I listened to.
That one when I saw that, I go, Landau's going to make a few buttholes clench up, and he did a masterful job. So if you're a film fan, if you like film debate, spirited film debate with people who know what the fuck they're talking about, who make things funny, that's us. We're not four dudes sitting around jerking each other off while drinking craft beers or whatever. We go after it hard. We do our homework, and that is the damn truth.
Well, and the nice thing is too, it's more organized than what we have going on here. Basically, you have almost like court session. You have the defendant and then the guy who's stating his case, and so you have the first person come on to tear it apart, and then you'll have your guy come on who likes it or has somewhat of more of appreciation, kind of dispute the facts and go back and forth. And it's a great format. And I don't know if this would meet your criteria, but the one that popped up in my mind, because I just saw it for the first time recently, because the way everything's going on with politics, more and more every day politics is getting to be like Idiocracy, and every day and everybody holds this thing up as like this comedy gold mine. And I watched it last week, and I'm like, not so much. Wasn't that impressed with it. I mean, looking at what's going on now with how dumb our politicians are, that similarity, but as a comedy piece separated from comparing it to what the hell we're going through now, wasn't that impressed with it.
What film? You didn't tell me the title.
Idiocracy.
Oh, Idiocracy. I didn't hear you say that. I'm sorry.
No, yeah.
No, I don't think that would qualify because it was not a box office success. I mean,
it's just a cult film.
Yeah, and I heard of it. I don't remember. I haven't seen it.
you're not missing out.
I don't know. I mean, I've heard people talk about it. It's not like exactly. It's not a cult film. Like when I hear cult film, I think Big Trouble in Little China or Big Lebowski or Clerks, something like that, or something a little off the beaten path but not too far off. I don't think that would qualify. No.
I wonder. I have.
Go ahead.
Sure.
And you may have done this as Braveheart.
Not done yet. People
not even stay awake during it. It's I've wanted to like it, but to me it moves so slow. Or it's the times I've tried to watch it halfway through, I'm out. Done.
That would definitely qualify. I mean, that won Best Picture. They made a shitload of money, and it's pretty well beloved. That hits all three of those. That would be. In fact, John Fugelsang, who did Gone with the Wind, he was debating between Braveheart and Gone with the Wind, but decided to do Gone with the Wind and made me sit through that 3.5 hour snooze alert.
Well, it's funny you say that because one of my other podcasts I host, because I'm a living historian and a World War II reenactor, I host a podcast called the What's the Scuttlebutt podcast, and we talk about World War II stuff. And I think the movie that might qualify, which people who aren't into living history and history itself, but like military movies, they love The Longest Day, which we refer to as the longest movie. But as somebody who studies the history and the uniforms and all that, that movie is atrocious. Key fact, if you watch that movie and knew nothing about World War II, you just assumed everybody on the Allied Army side carried Thompson submachine guns, because the only person in that entire movie who carried an M1 Garand was John Wayne, because he used it as a crutch. Everything from the uniforms to the guns, that movie was just horrible. And I saw it for the first time like 2 years ago. Not only is it super long, but it's just historically inaccurate. It's horrible.
Never even heard of it.
Consultants,
Yeah, I say that. What was the title again?
The Longest Day.
Yeah, I take that. I did hear of it. I've never seen it. I haven't seen that.
You're not missing out on anything.
I'd have to do research and see what the numbers were, if it won anything and how well it did in the box office. But my initial gut reaction, I would say no. But again, I'd want to do a little research and see if it may qualify. Again, we want people to look at their phone and go, man, fuck that, something like that. I don't think many people except yourself, because obviously that hits close home to you. That would get their dick hard. Saving Private Ryan, that would get people pissed off.
Yeah, that would get
Platoon,
people pissed off.
That would anger people.
Hamburger Hill.
Sure, if someone were to go after those two, but I don't know about that one. I don't think it would be a Hellraiser.
And there's your choice Quentin Tarantino movies you could go after too.
Well, if you would go after a Tarantino film, you'd probably lose, because I'm quite a Tarantino fan.
And I am too. Just finding something,
My producer for Watching Comics, a very good friend and comic, Lynette Palladino, decided to try and go against me with Pulp Fiction, and she brought a knife to a nuclear warhead.
Wow. How could you even start on that one?
Yeah, you can't.
She said, here's her argument. First of all, it dragged, which it did not. And I thought this was silly, and I love you, Net, if you're listening, but she said the characters are nothing special. I'm like, the characters are fucking memorable.
The character,
and the film is insanely quotable, and the repartee between them is gotta be top 10. That's insanity. And then Winston Wolfe with Keitel and Ving Rhames and Bruce Willis. That film, that's my second favorite film. Caddyshack being one, personally. Caddyshack 1, Pulp Fiction 2, and not by much. But I think that film is just an absolute perfect recipe from start to finish. It ties together with a big bow tie, and it's fun and memorable and hilarious and quotable. And I'm coining this, goddammit. I need to find a patent office to make sure it's going through. It passes the remote test. What's the remote test? The remote test is if you're watching it on cable and it happens to be on, you drop your remote and go, I know what I'm doing for the remainder of this film.
And to say that one didn't have good characters, Pulp Fiction the whole movie is the characters, with the exception of the last 15 minutes where they're cleaning up the car and disposing of it. The whole movie is nothing but character development and character background, because they're really not doing anything but talking.
The last scene is where they're in the diner and they're getting robbed by Honey Bunny and Tim Roth.
Yes.
That's when they start off, and that's when they circle back to. So, but I love when they clean out the car with Tarantino and his horrible acting. That was some great dialogue that entire time. You kidding me? This is some serious gourmet shit.
Yep.
It's brilliant, top to bottom. Love it. I mean, Tarantino film, maybe you would argue hateful eight. I liked it.
I enjoyed it.
Didn't. I enjoyed it too. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I dug it. Once people didn't realize it wasn't about the Manson family, it's good. It's about DiCaprio and Brad Pitt. And Brad Pitt, I walked out of that theater and I fucking put money on it. I said, he's winning supporting actor. The minute they made those odds available, I jumped right on that. I said, there's no way he's losing this. There's no way. And he won. I thought that was an easy pick.
clearly you have a podcast about movies, and I mean, when somebody brings up a movie, you know, even if it's not the one that's the subject of that particular episode, but if someone brings up a movie in the conversation, you know, the director, what year it came out and all that. Clearly, movie is a great passion of yours. When did that develop? What movie really kicked it off? Where did the bug bite you? How old were you? Do you remember?
Great question, easy answer. I moved to Jersey. My parents moved to Jersey with me. I was almost 4. Actually, I was 4 at this time, and this is 1980. So my dad said, come on, get in the car. And I remember this like it was yesterday. We're getting in the car and we're driving in Princeton, where I'm from. And we're going to what I thought was my doctor's office, because we went to the doctor a few times. And we're going to the doctor's today? My dad's like, no, not today. And he took me to go see, Empire had just been released, but they brought Star Wars back when Empire was released initially. And I sat in Star Wars, and the two scenes I remember, the biggest scene I remember and being captivated is when they're in the trash compactor room and that eyeball pops out from under there, and I was hooked. And we saw like every Disney film, and I love seeing Disney films as a kid. Every time they re-released Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and Sleeping Beauty and Pinocchio and Dumbo, we saw all those in the theater. But Star Wars was the first film I remember seeing. My parents said the first film they took me to was a drive-in theater to go see Meatballs. That film stunk, but I was 2 when I saw it. I don't count it, but I hate it now. But yeah, Star Wars, seeing that 1980 when they released Empire was the first thing I remember, and I was hooked. And I even had the stupidest ability to recall movies from like, I don't know, early 80s to late 90s, where they opened in what theater in my hometown. I could tell you like, Naked Gun, Mercer Mall, saw it there. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Mercer Mall. Pulp Fiction opened at Market Fair and then went over to Quaker Ridge Mall when they brought it back for Academy Awards. That is the most useless fucking information I have stored. That will never serve me financially in life, but I cannot understand why I retain that knowledge.
You know, it's funny you're talking about the trash compactor scene in Star Wars. I remember as a kid, I would stay at my cousin's house during the summertime, and he had somewhat of a walk-in closet, but we're all like 9, which means it was full of shit. And we reenacted that scene so many times.
Every toy known to man. Too.
Yes, in his closet, we'd just be under the toys and all that, and reenacting the whole thing with the door closed. Because his fucking closet was a trash heap. Sadly, we blew all our Star Wars toys up with fireworks, as most of us did when we got to our teenage years. Oh no!
Looks like they're on one of the Death Stars. Then.
Yeah, exactly. One of your episodes, I think your guest was talking about one of the first movies he saw multiple times in a movie theater. And it made me flash back. The first movie I think I saw multiple times in the movie theater when I was in high school had to be Natural Born Killers. I think I saw it 3 times at the local Star Cinema in Grove City, Ohio.
Really? I was not crazy about that. I thought that was very overhyped.
Interesting is I watch a movie once and I think I love movies, but then I'm just kind of done with it.
Really?
It's so weird. Yeah. It's like, okay, I've seen this. Let's move on. And who knows? Maybe it's just I get bored easy. You're
not of the school of thought that the more times you see stuff, the more you pick up on, I don't want to say Easter eggs because that term's fucked out, but on a well-written script, right? There are so many things going on that sometimes it takes a second or third viewing to pick up on all the little nuances.
I am, and I understand that, and I've picked up on it before, but just typically for some reason, I'm just like, it feels like a job the second time around. You know. It's weird that way, but it's just. I
love watching stuff. If I love it, I'll see it multiple times. I can't tell you how many times I've seen Caddyshack. I saw Pulp Fiction in the theater. Jesus Christ, I think 3 times, maybe even 4. That's how amazing it was. The Matrix I saw twice. I mean, a lot of these things I've seen. I like it. Not as much anymore. I'll see it twice. I think the last thing I'll tell you. Actually, I do know the last 2 films I've seen twice in the theater. Both Avengers films in the last 2 years, I saw twice in the theater. Because they're that goddamn good. 1 and 2. It's just you cannot discount seeing those kind of films on a big screen. So those are the last things I've seen twice in the theater, were Avengers films.
Does The Matrix hold up? I haven't seen it in a while, and I know
100% without a doubt. That's my top 5 of all time.
Even with the CGI being dated.
I don't give a shit. In fact, I don't think it looks dated. As a matter of fact,
really?
I really don't think it's that dated.
Interesting. I'll have to go back and check it out. Now I'm playing music in the background because you keep making references to Caddyshack. In like 1999, I sat there on my computer. Actually, it was during 9/11 when I got laid off from the ambulance plant. And I sat there. Oh, here it is. I pulled clips off HBO of Caddyshack and put it into a song that I made. I was sitting there trying to find it for you. Now, obviously, you're on every major podcast platform, right? You're on the new Google Podcast, which is the same as Google Play, which, by the way, Google, if you're listening, you got to get that shit fixed. You can't rewind it. You can't fast forward it. And every time you restart it, it starts from the beginning of any episode you're listening to. But what's your main carrier? Where do you want everybody to go?
I want you to go to guttingthesacredcow.com, goddammit, because we have links to every one of the podcast platforms we are on. We're on iTunes. We're on Spotify. We're on Spreaker. We're on Stitcher. We're on iHeartRadio. We're also on YouTube now, so you can watch us, and you can watch our smiling faces. I'm actually uploading the next episode to YouTube as we speak, so you can watch us. So if you're at home right now, which a lot of people are because of what's going on, and in fact, podcast listenership has gone down because of that. People are watching stuff at home, and that's they put on in the background while they're working. So now we're on YouTube as well. So we're on every single platform you can think of. And while you're on Gutting the Sacred Cow, we want you to go check out 2 other places. We've got a blog where we post our hashtag lists of 10. Different theme every day. 10 best soundtracks of all movie soundtracks. 10 best comic book villains and movies. 10 best heroes and come from comic books and movies. Stuff like that. Also, we have a merch store open now. You can get shirts, hats, mugs. No COVID-19 masks, though. None of those N95 things. Sorry. But you can go over there, buy a shirt, with our smiling faces on it and check it out as well. So I want you to go to guttingthesacredcow.com. That's where you're going to find everything to see where we are, including social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Give us a follow if you appreciate that.
Well, before we go ahead, Gordon.
How amped up are you to get back on stage? And has this time off actually given you a chance to make new material? And I'm sure you're trying to avoid COVID-19 crap for when you're back.
Great questions. Am I amped up?
Yeah.
Kind of, sort of. It's this podcast has really been it's caught fire over the last week or two, mainly because I was on Anthony Cumia's show last Tuesday, and that's been really spiking, and this has really been taking a lot of my time, which is good.
Yeah.
I'm also trying to pitch other shows. So comedy's taken a little bit of a back seat for me because I think people in comedy, it's like you're trying to make it, right? Everyone's version of it is very different. Some people say as long as I can pay my bills, I'm making it, which is great. Some people say when I make I'm a mega millionaire, that's great. I don't know. I'm trying to get to the middle and then I'll figure it out from there.
Yeah, right.
So I think I know for me, stand-up is not where I'm going to make it. I'm pretty good. I've got done well, but to be out there as a stand-up comedian full-time it's insane. I still have a day job, so that's where I'm making a great amount of money. So I can't be out 5, 6, 7 nights a week like I used to. Now that I have a wife and kid, especially the kid, more importantly. So I'm really focusing my energy. I can get way more shit done for these shows, for the podcast when I'm at home, and I get to hang out with my 4-year-old, which I think is great. I still do gigs, just not near as much. Material-wise, I don't have much new material out of this because I don't want to be that guy as well as every other asshole is going to go out there and talk about quarantine for fucking 15 minutes on stage. And by the time that you got into the second or third comic as an audience member, you're like, ugh, enough already.
Exactly. And that's my fault too.
Yeah, it's not, there's nothing that's striking me. I have a few things jotted down. So am I looking forward to it? Yeah, somewhat. Am I chomping? Am I champing? Actually, that's the way to say it. It's not chomping. It's champing at the bit to get out there. Yeah, kind of, sort of, but not like some of these other guys. This is where this is their full-time gig and they're dying because they haven't made any money because that's their sole source of income. So kind of, sort of answer your question, and no, not really. No new material. Yeah, nothing really. I want to get out there and promote or put on Instagram or YouTube or whatever.
I think a lot of people who never done a podcast or spent any time talking to a microphone for any extended period of time, to me, regardless of what the content is about, whether it's me doing this general entertainment podcast, my World War II podcast, what have you, I find it very therapeutic. There's just something about, verbal vomiting into a microphone, regardless of what the subject matter is, for 30 to 40 minutes, sometimes an hour and a half. It's so therapeutic that, I don't know, I'm waiting all week just to do the next episode just so I can get all this energy out.
I agree. And especially with us, with the movie podcast, there's so many movies out there. We're not going to have anywhere near, it's going to take forever to really to cover just the basic ones, And if someone big enough wants to come by, I don't know, let's throw a name out there. Let's say Chris Rock wants to come to my podcast and say, you know what, you guys did Pulp Fiction or Star Wars. I'm going to do that shit. Absolutely, Mr. Rock, right this way. So, but yeah, we have so many movies to do. We're booked. The podcast is booked until September with guests. So
fantastic.
It's not a hard time to try and find people material to come on and do. That's for sure.
Now, would you guys consider doing maybe more current streaming services show from Netflix, say like an Ozark?
No, we don't do TV shows.
Just movies.
At all. Okay.
Yep.
That's fair. I just was wondering.
Well, the other thing is
because then I'd have to dedicate way more than 2 hours, or even 3. I'd have to sit through and blow through 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons of a show to have a fair, grasp of the material. Nope, not happening. Don't have the time for that.
Yeah, I think that's something we left out when describing your show. One of the things they do, Gordon, is the person who's coming on who's going to talk about the movie, they all sit down and watch the movie, so it's fresh in their mind. And so to sit there and watch 12 episodes of Band of Brothers or, whatever, it would take a week just to do a 1-hour show. Okay. His name is Kevin Gootee. He's from the Gutting the Sacred Cow podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, friend, and it's good talking to you.
It's been great talking to you, fellas. Thanks so much again. Check it out. We really appreciate. I really appreciate you having Kevin and Israel both. I appreciate you letting us come on and spread the good word. And we know everybody listens to podcasts primarily in their car, sometime in the bathroom. And so if you're listening to this podcast and you have a bad short-term memory like I do, head over to d-410.com and or what'sinyourhead.com. And as always, whenever we post an episode of a podcast, we have all the pertinent links to all the pertinent places for the guest. So if you can't remember these links that he was saying, go to our website and go to the page for this episode, and you'll find all Kevin's links and URLs, and it'll send you directly to him. And thank you so much, Kevin, and we'll talk to you soon, man. Appreciate it, fellas. Thanks for the time. Good talking to you. Bye-bye. Bye. And once again, because we are broke as a joke, we have like 7 minutes left. So what we're going to do is, Gordon, before we go to our first break, before we get our first break, let me just get these out of the way. This episode of the What's in Your Head podcast, notice the new logo over there. Pretty cool, huh? Those stickers are available here real shortly once I get around to putting a link on the website. But anyhow, this episode of the What's in Your Head podcast is brought to you by our friends at Act Computers. Act Computers has been providing IT solutions for all of Southwest Florida since 2004. Give them a call and they can help you out with all your computer needs, whether it's a broken laptop, broken tablet, busted computer, whether you need your business secured with two-form authentication, or more importantly, online backups. Right now with all your employees working from home, hackers are going to town, and so make sure all of your data is backed up securely at 7 cents a gig per month. Give them a call at 239-283-1120. That is Act Computers, 239-283-1120. And while you're on the internet, head over to d-410.com. Click that big, beautiful orange Patreon logo, sign up for the $1 a month plan. There's 2 other plans, but hey, we're all broke. I'm not going to get into those. But sign up, help support the show. Those What's in Your Head podcast stickers, the OG5 stickers. Anytime we have stickers or merch that doesn't cost a whole hell of a lot of money to make, we just give them to the Patreon, the OG5 members. So if you want free stickers, head over there and sign up. If you sign up for that 3rd tier plan, which is $7.50 a month, I will send you a free t-shirt as well. There are some exclusive content. We are getting ready to post a new exclusive The OG5 podcast up there here shortly. But thank you guys so much. Stick around. We're going to be back in a few minutes we're going to check with our friend Martin Mazika up in New Jersey. And then obviously we're going to get to our list of shit and news with Gordon, plus much, much more. So hang tight and we will be back momentarily.